can you even do this? Like, what if can Sark go and watch film and watch practice and say, you know what? I have to go with the guy who gives us the best chance to beat Oklahoma, and it's not Arch Manning. This is the College Football Enquirer with Ross Dellenger and Steven Godfrey. I am Andy Staples. And a reminder, if you'd like to see us and how bleary-eyed Ross and I are because we were at Doak Campbell Stadium until about 2 a.m, you can go to the Yahoo Fast Network, Yahoo Sports Network on your Fast TV, free ad-supported television. So what you do is you turn on your smart TV, you look at all those icons on the home row, you find the Yahoo Sports Network icon, you click it, and you click on the College Football Enquirer. Also, if you are on the go, any device, tablet, phone, you name it, yahoosports.tv has all of Yahoo's shows 24/7, 365, even at 2:30 in the morning, which is probably when Ross got to bed. I made it home around 3:45. I live about 2 hours from Tallahassee. It was a very interesting game. I had my family members saying, why didn't you just stay in Gainesville? There was a more interesting game here. I kind of disagree, though, because, Ross, Miami thumped Florida State for 3.5 quarters. By the time Florida State started and put some stuff together, I don't think it mattered. But the display of dominance, defensive dominance, Carson Beck's command of the offense, Malachi Toney just being him, maybe the most exciting freshman in college football, although, again, we'll talk about a freshman receiver 2 hours south as well. But this was utter domination of the team that beat Alabama in that same stadium in the season opener. Miami looked really hard to stop.
Yeah, they sort of got all. It feels like they've got all the pieces that you need. Although we have said that about Miami before, so the jury's out, so to speak. But they've got maybe the best sort of veteran quarterback in the country when you talk about experience level. They got to me, they got the best freshman in the country that I've seen in Malachi Toney, the receiver there. Andy, you mentioned. I think they got probably the best combo in the defensive line
Ross,
as well.
You know this. Let's ask Godfrey if he knows. Godfrey, do you know what Malachi Toney's nickname was in high school?
Oh, wait. I saw this on social media this summer.
Yeah.
Baby Jesus.
Yeah,
right.
Baby
His nickname
Jesus.
is Baby Jesus.
Sunday morning.
Right.
Yeah. As someone who grew up, he's from American heritage in Plantation, Florida.
Yes.
As people who grew up in the South, both of you, how good at football do you have to be to be called Baby Jesus? And everybody in the community is like, yep, sounds about right.
Very good. I was reading an old story. He played quarterback his senior or his last game of his career at high school in their state championship game, which they won. He was 15 of 15 as a quarterback. He got moved into the position. So not too bad. But his high school coach, after the championship game, was giving an interview, and one of the reporters asked him about Malachi and his nickname, and the coach said, look, when I first met him, people were calling him Baby Jesus, and I was like, I'm not calling anybody Baby Jesus. Yeah. And then, of course, after the game, he said, I'm going to start calling him Baby Jesus. Because 15 of 15 and they won the state championship. So he is incredible. And he just seems to get open whenever he wants. And then when he has the ball, look out, right? He just makes incredible plays after the catch.
This is like grading on a scale too, Andy. I mean, we're talking that's Broward County?
Yes.
Broward County, yeah.
It's one thing if you went out and found some kid who was like a 4-star in some like rural area. Like this community has seen football. It's like for decades.
Yeah, he's doing this to the best players. In the country.
That's pretty amazing.
It's amazing. And so the play there were a couple plays for him. One that got called back because Miami had a procedure penalty, but it was one of those, he caught a pass along the left sideline and kind of jitterbugged his way all the way down and scored, but it didn't count. But it's one of those that like Florida State's defense is like, oh my God, I can't believe we have to guard him more today. And then there's a 4th and 2, I believe in the second quarter, where Carson Beck hits him and he puts a move on this safety. The safety's ankles just collapse. And it was It was something.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then after he did that move, what was even just more, to me, more confounding was that he proceeded to like outrun them easily, outrun them to the end zone. I mean, it was basically a 10-yard dash, and he won by like 2 yards.
Yes.
He's incredible, and he talked.
And Florida State has very fast players.
Yeah. I mean, he's really incredible. He came into the interview room and spoke to us, and he's like, he's got braces. He just turned 18 like 2 weeks ago. Basically, he reclassified. He was supposed to be in next year's class, I believe. So he reclassified sort of late, came in early to Miami, and just turned 18. He's got the braces. He just looks young, but he's really calm and composed. He talks very slowly and doesn't say a whole lot. Very humble kid. Mom, he started talking about his mom a little bit. She, because everybody who had come, he was the last one in the interview room, and everybody who had come into the interview room before him was certainly asked about him, and everybody pointed to his work ethic and how early he's at the facility and how late he's at the facility, all that stuff that we all hear. And he was asked about that, when he came in as the last person, and he said, "My mom wakes up early because she goes to the post office. So why can't I wake up early too?" So it was a good conversation with him, and he's certainly a great story.
Andy, you said this on Thursday, and I felt it wasn't insane. I thought surely that couldn't be the case, that Miami has an inside track on the 1 seed. Coming out of this weekend. Now, that's what I was thinking about watching the fourth quarter of this game. This, what they have left on the schedule, this is not the SMU that you worried about last year. This is not the Syracuse, definitely, that could have, that did what they did to them last year at the end of the season.
Nor is it the Louisville.
They have Louisville on Friday night after a bye, but we can talk about Louisville in a second.
They might be favored by 10 points in almost every game, at least. I mean, it's crazy.
So barring the, it's like a bit on the show, right? The catastrophic Mario executive decision-making matrix. This is it. They, especially with that other giant league in the Southeast that looks like it's filled with very good but not exceptionally great at any place or point or team, this looks like the number 1 seed going into the playoffs. It's October 5th. Just
I mean, unless Ohio State just keeps murdering people. Like,
I mean,
what Ohio State did
Ohio
Minnesota
State
was nasty.
Nobody's doing defensively what they're doing,
Yeah. So that's the thing. But Miami has all the pieces. And it's interesting that you bring up the Mario Cristobal game management thing, because I don't know. I don't know if he's turned a page or if it's just having better players. But I was down on the sideline last night. You were there too, Ross, when they went for it on a fairly long fourth down when they could have kicked a field goal. And it's one of those that, like, it was the right decision, because kicking a field goal would have made a two-possession game a two-possession game. Right. And getting the first down would have ended it. I think the old Mario would have kicked the field goal. I don't think he would have gone for it. And, like, if you notice Miami this season on the go for it decisions on fourth down, the fourth downs that look like they may be decisions. Yeah, I've not once seen any confusion about, do we send the punt team out? Do we go for it? Like, you don't have the situation where the offense is pointing at the sideline and the punt team's about to come on. Like, they know exactly what down and distances they're going for it, what situations they're going for it. They have a play ready. Like, it is very different than what we're used to.
Yeah, and that's what I want to be clear about when I talk about this one Achilles heel that this program has. It's not. I wouldn't necessarily criticize the decision to go for it or punt so much as that confusion that you saw on the sidelines. I know we do the Georgia Tech bit or whatever and not kneeling on it, but it's more about that function and taking a long time to get stuff in.
None of that this year.
Exactly. So, yeah. It's not so much the decision making as it is that look of confusion seems to be gone or fixed. Yeah. They have some sort of synergy or flow that's I would say noticeably different than the previous seasons.
The one thing about that concerns me about Miami is against Notre Dame, they had a big lead and allowed them to come back. Against certainly Florida State, they had a big lead, came back. So, you question that a little bit. And
if you've got a slippery quarterback, you got a shot. Because that Tommy Castellanos is very elusive.
Right.
Imagine a statue type quarter. Like, imagine Miller Moss, who they play next.
Right.
he would have been buried last night. Tommy Castellanos was doing a good job making something out of nothing. It's really, if you've got a quarterback who can get away and keep a play alive, you've got a chance. But my God, Ruben Bain is very good at his job.
I'm looking at the quarterbacks they're about to see down the home stretch, and they'll be all right.
Kyron Drones, weirdly,
maybe
probably
the best one.
shot to deal with him. Yeah,
I wasn't quite there yet, but I'm looking through it. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Although the Pitt freshman, whose name I am going to struggle to pronounce,
they benched Holston.
Had a great game yesterday. So, this is Miami's in a great spot. Miami's in a much better spot than last year. Look, they didn't make the playoff last year because they lost to Georgia Tech and Syracuse. Their defense stunk. They didn't have quality wins. All of that is taken care of now. The defense is good. The Notre Dame win is going to help them because Notre Dame's going to keep on winning. The Florida win, we'll see. But Florida did beat Texas yesterday. And then if you just win out in the ACC, it doesn't matter. Now, Florida State is not out of the playoff hunt. And Florida State is a good team. I just think Miami might be a great team. Florida State has to win out. But if you look at the rest of Florida State's schedule, it is not impossible for them to do that.
Yeah, and that Virginia loss doesn't look as bad, right? I think Virginia's going to be an 8. This is an 8-win sort of Virginia team that I'm sure we'll get to chatting about later.
Potential playoff at large Virginia Cavaliers.
That's right. But here's the thing people need to understand about the ACC championship. Like Florida State with 2 ACC losses is probably not going to make the ACC championship. There's probably no way they can make the ACC championship now. Because if you look at the rest of Georgia Tech's schedule, I don't think they're dropping 2 in conference.
Georgia Tech, Miami.
There you go.
Georgia Tech, Miami is probably the most likely ACC championship game.
Who would have thunk it?
Yeah. Now, look, it's early. Last year, we were assuming Miami would be the ACC championship game, and they let Clemson back in. But I just don't see anybody else other than maybe Virginia, which will have the head-to-head against Florida State, that you have a lot of confidence in.
This is still classic Miami. As we approach a midpoint of the regular season, it's such a talented team. They're so effective right now. This is the script. I feel like I don't want to say we always fall for because it feels like I'm predicting, but it's not what always happens. I mean,
this time last year, I think we'd seen the Cal game, the Virginia Tech game, or both. Like the Cal game and the Virginia Tech game would have been, told you all you need to know. This team is incredible on offense, but their defense stinks.
And so you're measuring this by the improvement on defense or the lack of busts, basically.
Yeah.
That Lance Guidry defense was
I am confident that whoever this team plays is going to slow them down enough to give their offense a chance. I also think they've kind of kept the offense on a leash a little bit because they've been able to. Like I thought they were playing fairly conservatively last night once they took the big lead. They could have poured it on to Florida State if they'd wanted to.
Yeah, but maybe to Ross's point, they need to. I mean, they won't have a marquee like this. Well,
but good news, boys.
They've got the chance.
Chances.
I meant against a particular level of opponent. But yes, you're right. There'll be plenty of time to tinker with the offense.
We talk a lot about Miami's defensive front, Bain and all them and Massador. But, Miami's secondary, too, look good. They play a lot of good plays. They made a lot of good plays last night. Jacoby Thomas, the safety, he made several plays. They obviously intercepted a couple passes. They look good, too, on the back end. So they're certainly a different-looking defense and an offense that is extraordinarily explosive.
Yeah, Bryce Fitzgerald, the freshman, had the interception. And listen, they're deep there in the secondary where they were not great last year. And I don't know about you, Ross, when I was down there on the field, standing next to their offensive lineman, oh my God. Now, Markel Bell is one of the largest human beings you'll ever see. He's their left tackle. But CeCe Malinois, the right tackle, have any of you guys ever been around Penn Sewell? So same body as Penn Sewell, but even more put together than Penn Sewell at that point in his life, which is a scary, scary thought. So and it makes sense. And then that's actually how Mario pitched him in recruiting. Like, hey, I had Penei Sewell at Oregon. We can do the same stuff with you. You can be the same player. You can be a first-round draft pick, and he is going to be a first-round draft pick.
Yeah, that's kind of overshadowed. Part of the team is the O-line. Nobody really, what they say, Andy, if you're talking about the O-line, it's usually not for a good reason.
It's usually not a good thing.
Overshadowed a bit.
But I'll tell you, I mean, and they weren't as dominant in the run game last night as they were against Florida. Against Florida, Florida's defense was playing really well, and Miami's O-line essentially broke Florida's back at the end of the game, where they were just pushing the pile 5 and 6 yards of play. They weren't able to do that against Florida State,
but Beck wasn't running for his life, right? You know, like he had time back there to throw. It was, and they were able. That's why they were able to throw a lot of those deep balls. I feel like because he was
in total command of the offense. He really,
it's really
he and
good.
Shannon Dawson, the offense coordinator, seem to get along very well.
Yeah,
obviously he loves throwing to Malachi Toney, but CJ Daniels, who was at LSU last year, Liberty before that, has been fantastic. He's the one who caught the touchdown pass at the beginning and then found the camera and did the Seminole War chant. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Afterward, he said he lost his control a little bit. Yeah, because Mario wasn't real happy about that. Well, somebody asked Mario if he sort of encourages that kind of behavior, and of course he said no, we would never do that.
It's interesting. Mario publicly talks about like wanting to move forward and not.
Yeah,
he does not like the comparisons to the 80s and 90s vintage Canes that he played for.
His Canes, that's right.
Because I think I understand why. I need to call him and ask him specifically about this because I am curious. But I think he understands better than most that Miami football, the Miami football universe, can get really caught up in nostalgia sometimes, and kind of lose the big
mañana.
picture.
What do they say? Mañana.
That's right.
There. Always so mañana.
I think that's what this is. It is ensuring that this team doesn't have a bunch because I guarantee you everywhere they go, there's some unk going, well, you know, when Russell Maryland played here and
oh, Andy, there is no program with multiple national titles that lives in a space of time as a fan base more than this one. Yeah, and I understand why. But the need to modernize and redefine this program is, he understands the urgency of it. He's talked about it for a long time. And I think it's authentic coming from him because he was a product of that era.
Right.
Whereas previous coaches have come in and tried this and failed. Whereas he has the authority, I think, to do this with that hardcore.
And he understands that you can't recreate it. It'll never happen again. No, it was a moment in time. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And he said that afterward. He's like, we're not trying to recreate it, right? We're trying to take pieces of it. He was talking about taking pieces of it.
The circumstances around that are impossible. The entire world knows about south of I-4 now in terms of finding talent. Like you can't assemble a team that way anymore.
Yeah. When I remember his first year there, Andy, you probably remember this because I'm sure just living in the state, you might have gone down there, but that was like a real struggle for him to get in there and like basically slap people around, just say like,
they didn't
thinking
have the
about
physicality.
the past.
Yeah. And that's what everything was like the turnover chain. Like he's like, no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like, this is not what we will do.
Yeah.
He also said something interesting in his press conference last night. My On3 co-host Ari Wasserman asked him about, when do you acknowledge or can you even acknowledge that this team might be special? And his thing is the second you do that, somebody's going to find something they can exploit on film and they're going to embarrass you. And so we can't, he said, we can't do that. And I think that was it. And he said, I don't know what happened in the rest of the country today, but as we were leaving the hotel, it looked like everybody else was about to be upset. Well, the one team that did get upset that was losing when they left the hotel was Penn State. Penn State goes to UCLA, a team that we thought would not win a game all season. And they UCLA beats Penn State. UCLA changed offensive coordinators on Tuesday. And they beat Penn State. So it's a good point. And now let's talk about Penn State because this is a really weird situation. I was trying to come up with the analogy, because James Franklin, for all his faults against really good teams, for the record against top 10 teams, we've talked about it ad nauseum, but he always beat the teams he was supposed to beat. And that's the thing you could always fall back on. Like, hey, at least he doesn't lose to the teams he's not supposed to lose to.
Yeah.
This is the worst version of losing to the team you're not supposed to lose to.
Yeah.
This will be worse than if you guys remember the early seasons when he got there and they basically didn't have an O-line. They sort of absorbed the delayed blow of the NCAA sanctions when they really couldn't recruit to depth until like year 3 or 4. It's kind of as they built that like McSorley Saquon team. They dropped games to Temple, to Pitt. You know, some early season stingers.
They lost to Pitt in the early season of the year they won the Big Ten in 2016 when they had McSorley and Saquon. Yeah.
Yes, and they went on to beat Michigan that year and a couple other teams. I don't know if that's the same year.
They beat Ohio State.
Yeah, that's the Block 6.
Yeah,
so
one
they've had losses that were, while bitter at the time, still explainable under the shadow of the Joe Pa scandal. I think this is orders of magnitude more devastating and embarrassing. I think this is significantly worse for fans just looking online last night than being outplayed by a really, really good, possibly top 3 Oregon team. And the whole stat, Andy, I think that's all gone. That fell by the wayside.
It doesn't matter anymore. Yeah.
Now it's total implosion. Now this is I'm careful. I want to say this carefully, and there's context here. This is a situation very similar to what's happening in Clemson.
It could go very badly. And here's the thing. They have to win every game left on the schedule to make the playoff, which means that Franklin will have to overcome his inability to beat top 10 teams because they play 2 of them back to back. They play at Ohio State and home against Indiana. If they don't beat both those teams, they will not make the playoff. If they don't win at Iowa in a couple of weeks, they will not make the playoff. They play Northwestern next week. Northwestern should be easy. But guess who Northwestern beat last week? UCLA.
Yeah. You know, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about something that we spent a lot of offseason talking about, which is what Penn State did in the offseason. And the investment they've made, millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. $3 million to the defensive coordinator. Obviously,
that's where I was headed.
Yeah, multiple $1 million
by Rick Neuheisel's kid.
God.
Yeah.
Punked.
Yeah.
So Rick Neuheisel's kid who had 2 days to put in the game plan.
And Nico, who ran all over him and threw all over him. I mean, it was shocking.
And it was those drives late too. When like Penn State comes back with the blocked punt, and then UCLA puts together a couple really nice drives. This was the best looking Nico game I may have ever seen.
Well, for sure.
Yeah, this is better. Like Nico was better than at any point in his time at Tennessee.
Absolutely.
And I'm with you. Like when I saw the blocked punt, I just assumed this is it. It's over. Penn State's gonna grind this out, and it'll look bad on the scoreboard, but they're still gonna win and they'll be fine. And UCLA put together 2 more drives to win the game.
That was to me more impressive than jumping out early. By the way, shout out to another travel complaint. I don't feel like I really got to get on the pulpit and
I was wondering if we would get to that. Yeah.
But Penn State complaining about we got plane runway length problems, boys, in State College. So we had to drive.
Right.
Basically, the game was lost when they had to drive to Harrisburg.
Yeah.
Harrisonburg.
Welcome to our world, Penn Staters. That's what we have to do when we fly into your fair city. So,
but you know, maybe they could do that to invest. You know, they've invested enough and have all the other areas. Maybe we can build an airport too, and that'll help.
Dude, your lips to God's ears, because you'll be writing a feature in at least 1 or 2 off seasons about NIL going to local runway length at an airport.
No, I'm telling you right now, municipal infrastructure projects in college football. So, new airport, or actually just a new runway in State College. Airport's fine. New runway in State College. Mass transit in Georgia, in Athens, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'd think Kirby Smart would have had a subway built at this point.
Yeah. But anyway, so one of the things. Sorry, I got off track.
Sorry, I'm incredulous right now about this Penn State defense thing, Ross. That's what I was going to lead to, because you just did a piece on Knowles.
Yeah,
this may be, from a matchup standpoint, the most unexplainable outcome that we've had this year.
Right. No, it's pretty shocking. And so there's the investment there, right, in the coaching staff and him. They kept Kotelnicki from leaving for a head coaching job. He was certainly in the mix, very, very, very high up, I would say, at West Virginia 1. They kept at least five top 2-3 round draft picks, including their 2 running backs. Again, millions of dollars worth of, NIL and front loading in the spring. They're in the middle of the stadium renovation. It's going to be like absurd, right? Hundreds of millions of dollars. They're pouring money into the program. And so I just wanted people who are listening who just see like, oh, this is a big upset. It's sort of more than that, right? This is a pretty big blow to an investment that's been made.
And let's talk the circumstances of the game. And this may have contributed to the defense playing as poorly as it did, but also you have no excuses, make adjustments. You make $3 million a year. So Tim Skipper, the interim coach at UCLA, decides they want to fire Tino Sunseri, who's the OC they brought in this past year. And it was a risk. Like he was Indiana's quarterbacks coach. He was not Indiana's play caller, but they hired him to bring Indiana's offense. So he did, but he's not an experienced play caller, and it didn't go well. So they fire him. They elevate Jerry Neuheisel, who kind of thought he was going to get the job when Deshaun Foster got hired, that he was going to be the OC. And so he's been coaching. He's been coaching these guys. He knows these. He's been on the staff. He was on Chip Kelly's staff. So he knows the players really well, understands it, just completely renovates the offense in 2 days. So what Jim Knowles got and saw was probably something he'd never seen before, which is why UCLA jumps out to the early lead. But again, you make $3 million, adjust. Late in the fourth quarter, UCLA was still averaging 6 yards a carry. I think they ended up at 5.1 because they were trying to run the clock out a little bit. But that's inexcusable against a winless team. This is the last time. So the last time a team that was 0-4 or worse beat a top 10 team was UTEP beating BYU in 1985.
Shout out to the Miners.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
It's
I think Andy Reid might have been on that staff.
I'm trying to think of a more stunning loss, like not just this year, but like in several years back. I'm trying to think. I mean, Alabama at Vanderbilt isn't to the level of this last year.
It's
right?
that. But
no, Vanderbilt
context is pulling that apart. Yeah,
better. Right.
Yeah. Context is pulling that apart. To piggyback what Andy said. We talked about that on Thursday. What was shocking about last season in Alabama and Vanderbilt was we just hadn't we had yet to understand the parity that was taking place in NIL and portal. This has nothing to do with NIL and portal.
This is not right.
To Andy's point, should have adjusted in the third quarter.
On target for 0-12.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No, NIL and portal should have defaulted to Penn State's going to figure this out at halftime, come back and grind them up. Especially, and again, the block punt felt like inevitability. But that's when, the better team's going to figure this out. It's ugly. We keep moving towards this NFL idea of any given Sunday now because the rosters are flatter and more even. And they didn't. Young Neuheisel dialed up, even if it was just Nico and a lot of broken plays and getting out in the open field. That's still the responsibility of the DC. They did it. This is inexcusable. You can rationalize a lot of those top 25, top 5 losses from James Franklin away. You cannot rationalize this in any way, shape, or form.
Well, and that's the issue here. And now, because this is so unusual, because the one thing they were good at, now they can't seem to do is beat the teams you're supposed to beat. Now his record against the top 5 and the top 10 comes back into play because you have to win all the games left on your schedule. Yeah. And you have 2 teams that are at least going to be in the top 10, probably in the top 5 when you play them. And you're like, we're just assuming they're not going to win, that they're not going to have a chance. And I don't see any problem with that logic.
Andy, it's because they don't have a history. Yeah, they don't have a history of, and we can talk about Florida inexplicably in a second. This staff and this head coach does not have a history of the rebound, circle the wagons. Franklin doesn't adjust. You get what you get. As a product inside of a season, he doesn't have a remarkable win that maybe it is the Michigan-Ohio State after the early season losses. That was 10 years ago. That's the best.
They lost to Michigan that year. They got crushed by Michigan in 2016.
No, it's block 6. I was thinking of
linebackers. Yeah.
The following year,
that was the one where they beat
Whiteout.
Minnesota, and Franklin comes off the field, and the camera catches him going, whew.
Yeah.
And then they beat Ohio State, and they go on a run. But
yeah, it's that season.
this is not that. And
No.
it's going to be back against the wall. You have to win the rest of them. When we come back, we'll talk about another team that now has to win the rest of them. It's the one we had ranked number 1 in the preseason. Texas went to the Swamp and got beat. What does that mean for Texas? What does that mean for Florida? We'll talk about it when we come back. We are back at the College Football Enquirer, and let us head to Gainesville, Florida, the town I voluntarily drove away from yesterday and should have stayed in. So Texas comes to Gainesville, and Florida's defense, which had been good all season, finally gets matched with a decent offense. Florida's offense shows up. Arch Manning and company, meanwhile, looked very confused by Florida's defense. And this was not that shocking a result. I mean, the line started at Texas by 7. It was down to Texas by 5.5 by the time the game kicked off. So there was a clear worry that Texas was going to get upset in this game. And, around Gainesville, it was okay. Billy Napier back against the wall. He could get fired, but he could also win this game. Like everything was on the menu for this game. I don't know that I expected Florida's offense to look as good as it did. I knew Dallas Wilson would be good when he finally got on the field. We talked about Malachi Toney, the freshman at Miami, just now. Dallas Wilson is a freshman from Tampa who originally was going to go to Oregon. Florida flipped him. And he had been injured the first 4 games. So he makes his debut. And oh my God, did it make a big difference in the offense. DJ Lagway had a kind of safety blanket to throw to. And he had a long touchdown, Dallas Wilson did, where he catches the ball and kind of tiptoes along the sideline and then outruns everybody. He's 6'3", 215. Malachi Toney is your more traditional, kind of small, rangy wide receiver who just blazes. Dallas Wilson is your big, thick wide receiver one, not quite as big as Jeremiah Smith, but big and also kind of too fast for someone who's that big. So that made a difference. But guys, we got to talk about Arch Manning. Like,
that's the story here.
It's not very good.
Yeah, that's the story here. Andy, we were obviously sitting by each other during I was watching this one sort of transpire in the press box at Florida State, and all anybody could do in the press box was certainly talk about the quarterback and why is he struggling. And every time we sort of looked up to see what was going on in the game, he was holding the ball really long, getting of course getting pressured, getting sacked, trying to run away. There's just an indecisiveness or something going on. I don't know what exactly is going on. I saw Steve Sarkisian talk afterward about the offensive line and in sort of the struggles of the offensive line.
Which
I remember visiting down there in
nearly as good as
August.
last year.
Right, no, they lost 4 or 5 starters right last year. They returned one guy, and I remember visiting the campus in August and coming away thinking, "Ooh, they may have some issues on the O-line." That was the one spot of concern, and we're seeing some of that.
Yeah, they're not as good as last year, but Andy, to the amateur eye, a lot of that looked like coverage sacks yesterday. A lot of it was just read, and he held
the ball. Yeah.
So we were all watching together. There were a bunch of us together huddled around the iPad, and near the end of the game, Arch gets sacked by Cam James and Jaden Woods, and gets his helmet.
Yeah,
they didn't. It's not it wasn't because of a face mask or illegal hands to the face. So his helmet popping off means he has to go out for a play. Matthew Caldwell, the transfer from Troy, comes in,
throws
a seed, and every one of us is like, "Leave the backup in."
Oh no! I did think I was like, "Well, I saw it happen." I was like, "Well, kept the drive alive, right? First down conversion." And then I thought to myself, I mean, he's going to run to the sideline, right? Like he's like They're definitely putting Arch back in there, right? Just for a second, because it was one of the better thrown passes of the second half.
Yeah.
You know why? Because he caught it and he threw it.
It was like boom.
Yeah.
That was my expert analysis.
Again, decisive, right? In every time I look,
and Florida
Arch
fans,
just isn't. He's holding it, and I don't get it.
Florida fans will remember back in the Dan Mullen era when Felipe Franks got hurt against Kentucky and Kyle Trask had to come in, and Florida was down, and Kyle Trask is like, boo, 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 boo. And then they realize, oh, wait, he's a way better quarterback than Felipe Franks. Yeah. And it was because, like, sometimes it's not about your physical ability. It's about, do you get the ball out on time? Like, especially in offenses where they have good play callers and good skill position players, just get the ball out on time. Let everybody else do the work. And that's not what Arch is doing. Arch and Jackson Arnold are very similar, or feel like very similar watches right now.
Oh, man, Andy. Wow. No, you're not incorrect. It's just crazy to hear that. It's crazy to hear that out loud after a 9-month off season of Arch goes to the national championship and is first overall in the draft. Like, oh my gosh, if that's where we're at, can some of this be ascribed to he's just inexperienced? It's just about service time, right?
But the thing is, like, sometimes guys just come in and now look, every quarterback's different. Some of them take time to develop, some of them don't. But like CJ Carr's inexperienced. He doesn't seem to have a problem.
Julian saying
CJ Carr still has fewer starts than Arch Manning, and it doesn't seem to bother him.
Yeah,
there's
a lot of first-year starting quarterbacks that we're seeing a lot of first-year starting quarterbacks. I don't know if we've seen any struggle like Arch's. And good luck the rest of the way.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's not like there's any cakewalk. I mean, they start with Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, so Texas, to make the playoff, has to win out. Now, they can. And also, there is a chance, there's a window for Texas. It's not like in the ACC. Because in the SEC, 6-2 in the league might get you into the championship game, depending on who you beat. And so Texas might still have a chance, even if it lost another game, but it's a very narrow window. Like, you're better off just winning out.
They got a game
this
at Georgia.
Oklahoma game is a scary one.
Yeah, I mean, they're at Georgia. Obviously, the Oklahoma in Dallas. They get Texas A&M to end the year. I mean, it's looking. I mean, what do you do? I wonder what they do here about the quarterback position. I mean, do they think about evaluating?
Let me tell you guys, as someone who saw Oklahoma in person a couple weeks ago, the Florida defense is good.
Yeah.
Oklahoma's pass rush is better than Florida's.
No doubt. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
if Texas scores more than 10 points, it'll be surprising, I feel like.
Yeah. Now, Oklahoma's starting a backup quarterback in Michael Hawkins Jr. Because remember, John Mateer has the hand injury. He's out. If John Mateer were playing this game, I would say favor Oklahoma by double digits.
But
because he's not.
The development time in the pass game yesterday is getting absolutely killed in Red River. And in, what do we call it? Lone Star Showdown? That's so lame.
Yeah.
Like, both of those games are losses right now to your two rivals.
Yeah.
And that's before we talk about, by the way, like Ross said, you got to go to Athens. You got Vanderbilt coming in. That's not nothing. Like, this is still a league schedule. This has to be, this has to be fixed immediately.
And there's a point where.
But can you even do it?
You know, that's the thing. Like, I don't know how you can do it.
How do you coach a quarterback to just,
like,
what do you just say?
This sort of this narrative of oh, well, like, everybody's just too hard on Arch, right? The buildup was too much. It's unfair to the kid. Like, at some point, that has to stop. And we have game results of this. And, like, you have multiple games to prove yourself and get over whatever preseason narrative or expectations were out there. And we're getting pretty close to that point. And so you got to wonder.
That was yesterday, Ross.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, that's what it feels like.
And I know you did the offseason piece. You did the visit with him. You said that it was a fairly, like, the PR strategy from Texas and the Mannings was very guarded, I think was how you described it. It wasn't like they were putting it out there and making it a huge narrative piece in the offseason.
No.
We did that in the media, big collective finger wave. But yesterday is the time in which, look, you'd explain away a lot with the Ohio State start going into Columbus week 1 against maybe the best defense in the country, but fine.
Right.
No, that stopped yesterday. This is a flawed offense with a quarterback that does not look experienced and is not making good decisions. I don't care what his last name is.
You guys remember you remember
But
Godfrey? I went down there and did a story with him, and one of his friends, his best friends on the team, said Arch told me he can't wait to screw up in a game, so everybody will stop thinking he's like, the next great thing. Well, yeah, it's happened.
The potential's there though. Like that, the last touchdown pass. You like it's. I'm not saying the ceiling has changed. I'm saying the floor has changed.
Ross, can you even do this? Like, what if can Sark go and watch film and watch practice and say, you know what? I have to go with the guy who gives us the best chance to beat Oklahoma, and it's not Arch Manning. Like, can you say that in this situation, in this world? I ask you, Ross, because this is a business side question as much as it's a football question.
Yeah, I know. When you do that, I don't know that you wonder what happens, next season with the portal and how that's going to work. I don't know anything, Andy, about, and Godfrey, you might know, about the backup they put in there for the one play. I mean, I have no idea like what his story is and if there's any chance that they would make that switch.
Well, I don't
think there is.
It almost doesn't matter. This is a personnel decision with financial stakes, the likes of which we've never seen because of the changes in the sport. So I think what Andy's getting at here is it's less about, hey, can we ride the hot hand and have a 2-quarterback problem to better our season, than what kind of like foundational damage are we creating by even entertaining the idea? And so this is we're in uncharted territory there.
So the reason you didn't know who Texas's backup was is because of Arch Manning.
Yeah,
because
that's a good point.
Back in the old days, you always knew who Texas's backup was because it was some 5-star that was the top quarterback in the class or one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the class, because they just stacked them on top of each other. But because Arch Manning was there, none of those players were going to Texas. Like Dia Bell is committed to go to Texas. Right. The son of Raja Bell, who plays in Florida. But that's for next year. And the idea was Dia Bell sits behind Arch Manning for a year and takes over in 2027. Like, no one even thought about the possibility of Arch not being good enough. Yeah. It was not something, and we are at fault for this too. Like, I was one of the people hyping him. You guys hyped it. We all did it. It's not fair to the kid. The kid didn't. They actually ran away from publicity, from celebrity as much as they could till the Warby Parker checks started coming in.
I was about to say, he was in the ad breaks yesterday.
The Varori checks,
3 and outs.
Yeah. I mean, look, you just can't turn those down. But yeah, I mean, we all did it, but it doesn't matter because at some point you still got to play.
Right. When there's a point, I'll make a point after the Ohio State game. He obviously struggled. And again, like the thing that keeps coming to my mind when I watch him play is the indecisiveness of him in the pocket and holding the ball and just not, like not releasing it in a good span of time. And that happened at Texas. So after Texas, you get on the phone like the next day or 2 or whatever. And I mean, I had somebody down there in Austin that week say to me, "Oh, he's going to be fine. Hey, look, he's going to eventually be a number 1 draft, a first-round draft pick. He'll be fine." Well, I mean, why do you think we wrote the stories and had the expectation we did? Is because those things were told to us. Like, that person who told me that should know. And, like, that's
right.
What their thought was.
Steve Sarkisian is a pretty good evaluator of quarterbacks, and he cleared the decks. Like, somebody told Quinn Ewers he wasn't welcome back. Like, somebody had to say that.
I texted one OC in the Power, where I was just kind of texting last night, and it's the same thing that pretty much everyone said after Ohio State, which is calm him down, let him use his feet a little bit more, and let him get more reps to process. Because I think Louis Riddick pointed this out on the broadcast yesterday. There were a couple. Not only is he holding the ball too long, but he's also making the wrong decision when he finally makes the decision. He had what a tight end was splitting the safeties on one of the third downs. He completely misses and then throws a low percentage ball down the sideline. Some of this may just be he's got to rep it out, and they've got to simplify stuff for him, which is crazy to say going into Oklahoma. This is about to be one of the most schematically interesting matchups.
Yeah, the thing is,
a long time.
You can't simplify it. Like, we saw a talented young quarterback play a simplified offense against Oklahoma and Bryce Underwood and Michigan, and they got buried.
I know. That's why I'm saying like, I don't know what you do, because if anything, you need to be a little bit more complex and disguised and letting things develop and break, because you're going to try and punish Oklahoma for some of its aggressiveness. Texas is not capable of doing any of that right now.
And the other part is the Texas defense, which we thought was the sure thing.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, Andy.
They're not a sure. Like, Florida was running all over them. Florida was pushing them around, and Florida did not push USF, LSU, or Miami around, except for one drive against Miami.
That's another money's worth question
to anybody
too.
else.
Yeah, that's another money's worth question, because right now they're, again, to go back to Texas is too big to measure itself solely by its rivals, but I'm looking at better defenses in College Station and Norman. I don't know what the financial comp is, but
it's a scary prospect if you're Steve Sarkisian, because you have to look yourself in the mirror and go, did I pick the wrong quarterback? Because this is a decision that goes back to probably before last season.
Well,
out,
like probably three years ago, probably.
I'm just going to point this out based off of some chatter in my phone as well. There's an individual in Oxford who might be secretly loving this right now, because he's got a D2 quarterback from Ferris State.
That's right.
The namesake forsook him. So yeah.
Olane. Hey, let's quickly talk about the Gators, Andy. I mean, do they got a shot here? Does Billy Napier have a shot to save the day again, man?
I tweeted this out last night. Run the table, Andy.
The memes were incredible.
Yeah.
I saw
Billy.
20 different versions of Billy Napier with his back against the wall, and it's just a picture of Nick Saban underneath it. It was amazing.
Nice.
Let me just tell everybody. At Texas A&M, Mississippi State.
That'll be like 13
Georgia and Jacksonville.
That A&M game.
Yeah.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
Ole Miss.
Oxford. Yeah.
Tennessee. Florida State.
Yeah.
Is he going to win all of those games or all but one? Because all but one is 8-4.
Right.
The team I saw yesterday.
The floor if you want to come back.
Yeah.
Because
the team I saw yesterday, Andy, could play in all of those games, and that this is not. I'm not saying this tongue in cheek.
Correct. You also saw Billy Napier give them a free timeout at the end of the game.
Oh yeah. Maybe the Cristobal thing is true.
Hey, you're trying to win the game? Time out. I'll give you some more time to figure it out.
Maybe it's the ring. Maybe Cristobal passed it on to Napier somehow.
It's this monkey's paw situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go back and look at their 3 losses, because look, I can't really explain the South Florida thing. I mean, obviously South Florida is going to be one of the best programs in the G6, but in general, but like they hung right there. They were right there in the fourth quarter with probably the number 1 team in the country, Miami.
Miami,
night game at LSU, and that was a tight one too. And their quarterback threw 5 interceptions. So I mean, this team maybe can do it, but like you said, Andy, they really do got to get to that 8-4, right? So they can
history
lose
tells
one.
you that history tells you that they will not be able to do it, because
no, of course,
and you can say, oh, the schedule's hard. Yeah, I know, but you paid this guy to win games like that. That's the whole point. And if you accept 6-6 or 7-5 4 years in a row, you're a decidedly unserious football program.
Yeah.
If that's good enough for you, you're decidedly unserious.
Look, he should okay.
At 4 years, the person has told you who they are.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm going to keep saying this I'm just going to keep saying this. I love the playoff era. You got what? 5 ranked teams down the stretch.
Because remember, 2 of those losses are out of conference. If they go 7-1 in the SEC, they will make the SEC championship game.
Andy, you heard this from 1,000 people. I'm sure. I mean, I did. Everyone's asking. Like, anytime you solicit for listener questions or viewer questions, it's why didn't they fire him after? Like, they had a bye week after Miami, or what's last week? The question I was getting: what's the margin of loss needed to fire him after Texas?
Yes, the level of freak out in Gainesville after the win is possibly higher than if they'd lost by 2. Like, because now the people who want him gone, which is most of the fan base, is like, wait, what if he does? But they can't go as far as to root against their team, and they're not going to do that. So they'll be rooting for them against Texas A&M. But if Florida goes into College Station and, as Ross points out, loses 13-10, which is a very, very possible final score for that game, one way or the other, then they'll be like, okay, finally. But
Mississippi State in a bye week.
You got. What I was going to say was it kind of feels like the Mississippi State game, honestly. Yeah,
and
if they're flat and inconsistent as they have been, yeah,
that'll expose you. So you get up for Texas, A&M, you come home, and Mississippi State shocks you, which they're certainly capable of doing.
And that's exactly what you said to look for with another team that had a big win yesterday, which was Alabama. And
I'm glad you said that. When we come back,
knew you'd play well. Yep. It wasn't about Georgia. It was how you would play against Vandy.
Yep. When we come back, we will talk Alabama. Alabama's back. We are back on the College Football Enquirer. And a reminder, if you would like to watch us in living and breathing color, go to the Yahoo Sports Network on your smart TV. Free ad-supported television. We're right there in your home row on your smart TV, and also at yahoosports.tv on any device, anytime, anywhere. All right, gentlemen, we need to talk about the Crimson Tide of Alabama beating Vanderbilt. And Vandy came out of the gate swinging, and you thought, okay, this is maybe going to be a little like last year. I think even at halftime, you're like, this is coming down to the wire. But Alabama thoroughly dominated the second half, even scored that Jam Miller touchdown at the end to cover. Just for funsies.
Yeah, I think I said this in the pod maybe last week or the week before. It's like I asked the question. Maybe it was before Georgia. I asked the question. I'm not sold on Ty Simpson being the guy. Sold now, sold.
Yeah,
very
he's
much
really
sold.
good.
Really impressive. Puts the ball in the money. Makes the right decisions, kind of some of the opposite things we talked about Arch. Like he's very decisive about things, doesn't hold the ball too long. 340 against a Vandy defense that's have been playing really well. And then, Andy, you mentioned Jam Miller in the last touchdown at the very end of the game for 23, 24 yards. He had 130 against the Commodores. But Godfrey, I want to lead into segue into when Diego Pavia was walking off the field after the game, there was this.
I had football things to say, but this is my area.
Let's go. Row, and he was giving it to Pavia in one of the more embarrassing videos in your tweets to it had me cackling.
I think I called him, you could not have, the ideal lab-grown middle-aged gump is how I describe this individual. And it's on 38.
Alabama's back, baby. Alabama's
AL.com. I think AL.com was the team that actually captured the video. It's cut in a weird way. What I think happened was this guy's drunk. He's at the sort of bottom front row end zone in the corner as Vandy is kind of shuffling into that tunnel, if you've ever been in Bryant-Denny. It first, this guy engages Pavia, and I guess Pavia probably grabbed his crotch at some point in the game, and this guy who's wasted and Alabama's just won is objecting to that because he did it in front of his children, which is one of the more quaint objections you could have in 2025. Never mind that this guy is as just piss drunk, hammered, because he's wobbling back and forth. He's still got the cup in his hand.
Probably in front of his children, too.
Correct. Exactly. Which is, as those of us who grew up in the South know, that happens sometimes. You have a moral objection. A parent has a moral objection while they're too drunk to stand up.
To realize
and you could see it, but to Alabama as a fan base's credit, I guess, and I can't believe I'm going here, you do see other Bama fans being like, this is off.
They're embarrassed.
This woman has got her eyes, it's early for me, but got her eyes wide open oh, God, this is bad. And then some Vandy player out of uniform, kind of to Pavia's right, it's just you're screaming at a kid. You're screaming like, what are you doing, guy? And then of course all the responses in the thread from AL are all Bama fans being like, he ain't no kid, he's a thug, he sucks, da 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 da, beat your ass. So typical Alabama's back. To Andy's point, Alabama is exactly where it wants to be right now.
Here's the deal: Vandy is better than the Vandy team that beat Alabama last year.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
they showed up.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They gave Alabama their best shot, and Alabama beat them. Soundly.
And Pavia at under 200 passing. I think he had about 50 net rushing and then two picks.
2 turnovers in Alabama territory.
Kane Womack, good job, good plan, well executed. They did beat a better Vanderbilt team. Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
And Vandy's defense is not bad.
Now, the thing is, and I know Alabama fans hate this because they think we keep moving the goalposts on them. It's after the Florida State game, we freaked out because they looked like they were not ready. They looked like they were not physical. They've looked very good the last few weeks. Louisiana Monroe didn't tell us anything. Wisconsin didn't tell us anything. But Georgia and Vanderbilt certainly told us some things. The issue is we're not moving the goalposts, but guys, Bama's schedule is really hard. They have to go to Columbia, Missouri to play an undefeated Missouri next week.
Yeah.
Then they have to play Tennessee. This is just a hard schedule.
Yeah. No, I'm going to hold to what you said last week because I think it was really informative, and I think it's the best. It was prescriptive for how to understand what's going on in Tuscaloosa because we have to acclimate, even at mighty, monolithic Alabama, to the idea of the weird, unexpected loss in this era of parity. So I'm fine with that. And you got beat by a Florida State team that's not great, but not horrible. Fine. You've moved on. You acquitted yourself. It's not. It's certainly not the Georgia game, which is kind of crazy to say, like you said, Andy. It's this series of games leading into Tennessee, Vanderbilt, and Missouri. If you can go out and replicate last week's performance at, what did you say, 11? It's the 11 a.m. Central kickoff, Andy?
11 a.m. sleepiest kickoff in the world.
Kind of feels like the old JP trap spot, right? JP trap spot. Let's come back here, put a pin in this, and then next week, as we go into Bama, Tennessee, we could be talking about the best team in the Southeastern Conference.
Yes, we easily could. A national title contender, which after the Florida State game, nobody would have said. So it's a very good job by Kalen DeBoer and his staff getting them back after that loss because they have all the talent.
It's the quarterback, dude. 13-1 touchdown interception. We came into the season with too many quarterback superstars. We didn't, but they all failed us in the first 3 weeks, guys. And now we found one because he lost in week 1 and we kind of ignored him collectively. This is why they're winning. They may have the best quarterback in the SEC.
Yeah, they very well might. We spend all the time complaining about DJ Lagway and Arch Manning, but probably equal time needs to be spent praising Ty Simpson because he's everything you want in a high pressure situation. And you talk about being decisive and getting the ball out. Now, if we want to relitigate some things, why wasn't Ty Simpson starting last year? And I'm sure this is something the Alabama fans have spent time on their message boards debating thoroughly. So we're not gonna needle them with that too much. But going forward, you love the way he catches the snap, knows exactly where he's going with the ball. If something goes wrong, he's athletic enough to make something happen anyway. Total package, let's whip around the league and test Godfrey's theory. I actually am very excited about Bo Pribula against him, though I think Ty Simpson is a far more advanced version of Bo Pribula. I'm really excited about Joey Aguilar.
Yeah, Aguilar. That's what I was thinking about that game. Yeah, that's going to be a good game.
Ryan Grubb
for sure.
Joining, getting back together with the bands. Like you have you now have the Brain Trust Collective that developed Penix. Like this is like potentially we're going to be. I was texting with Holly Anderson, I think from Every Day Should Be Saturday on Channel 6, and we talked about this mess in the SEC. And I said, well, somebody like Ohio State or Alabama is just going to clamp down. And right now, because right now it feels very hard to take it back to Miami to determine a number one. It doesn't feel like we have a clear winner in the field. Whereas like seconds after they beat Tennessee in the playoff, you're like, oh, okay, Ohio State is just so clearly dominant. Alabama feels like if the SEC can develop one team, it feels like it's this one.
Right. They have the right pieces and they have the right quarterback.
Yeah.
And they have I hate using the phrase like a clutch gene, like on third and fourth down.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Where it's hard to say because we did see them lose to Florida State the way they did. So we know that's in there too. But
we don't have preseason, Andy. Like, I mean, they were
exactly.
They were in. They were
that made
in
me
progress
flushed and gone. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm explaining away Florida State. I feel like I am a lab-made Gump at this point, but I really like what I saw yesterday. And I know people
one quarterback in the country, it's 3rd and 3 or 4th and 3, and your life depends on the result of the play. Which quarterback are you picking? You're picking Ty Simpson.
Yeah.
Based on what we've seen
around
so
the
far
country,
this season, you're picking Ty Simpson.
Yeah. There's some interesting quarterback play going across the country, but if you're looking for liability and consistency, life on the line, yeah.
Well, their third downs, Andy, you mentioned sort of their Alabama on third down. I think the last 2 games, they were 19 and 30 combined, something like that on third down, or 30 for 19 and 35 on third down. It's amazing.
Go back and watch those.
So they were 7 of 15 yesterday. So not as good as they were, but they're also a really good fourth down team. They were 2 of 3 on fourth down conversions yesterday. So
we talked.
You're never going to beat a team if they keep getting third and fourth downs on
third downs. Yeah.
We talked about those Washington-Oregon games from the Dan Lanning perspective last week. This is that Washington offense that was so unkillable and resilient. Yeah. And it's the exact same group of people calling those plays up. And once again, I don't know, it's not us, this group of people talking right now. There's always this idea that things won't import to the SEC. Things won't import. Oh, you can't do that in the SEC. We said it about Josh Heupel. We said it about Mike Leach. We talk about it for some reason with offense. That's a gimmick that won't work. What they did to go all the way to the national championship game with a roster that was inferior to probably national championship standards overall, they are now doing in Tuscaloosa where you do not want for anything. And this, like, we can all calm down and stop talking about buyouts and Kalen DeBoer hot seat stuff, right? Like, they could really hit their stride. If they win the next 2, they are. If they win the next 2, they are hands down the best team in the Southeastern Conference.
Oh yeah. If they win the next 2, because like Missouri and Tennessee still have a chance to make the playoff. Like, well, Missouri's undefeated, obviously, but Tennessee has a loss to Georgia, but it was a very close loss.
Yeah, they probably shouldn't have lost the game. Yeah,
you feel like they're gonna be in the mix for a lot of the season. And
you can beat them both
in a row.
And, if you beat them both in a row, Andy, you can spend a loss to LSU or maybe even to Oklahoma and still be alive and good.
But here's the thing. This is what college football is. This is what the SEC is right now. Alabama would still have to play LSU, Oklahoma, and South Carolina and Auburn after that stretch.
Right.
Like, that is so hard.
Yeah.
When you put it all together like that.
We're in it good. We're seeing right now, I hate to turn it back to like playoff talk, but we're like playoff format talk, but we're seeing, why the SEC and the SEC athletic director in the coaches room are clamoring to have more than 12 teams, because you can see it right now. The SEC is going to be the deepest league, and they're going to have 3 to 4 teams in between that 12 and 18 ranking that get left out that are probably worthy of winning a national title potentially, and that we're starting
also,
to see
Ross, we might have a situation where some of these top teams may not see each other in the regular season.
Yeah,
so
like there's a lot of potential SEC playoff matchups between teams that didn't play in the regular season.
Bama does not play Ole Miss.
Texas
A&M does not play Bama or Ole Miss. Yeah,
right.
So we're starting to see this is why everybody should have more.
Ooh, a Bama Ole Miss SEC championship game. Could you imagine? Lane versus Tide and Kalen and Hello and all right. Whip around. Hey, how about Virginia?
Virginia's on my list. How about Virginia? That's
Ross. Did you come out? Did you with the ACC crew? Like, we were getting set up. We had to do an instant reaction video to the Penn State game, and Jim Phillips, the ACC commissioner, is standing right next to us watching Virginia beat Louisville in overtime. The Chandler Morris, laying out to get a first down, and then they run it in to win. Tony Elliott's doing a phenomenal job this season at Virginia.
Yeah. Shout out to the Penn State fan who texted me and asked, could we get Tony Elliott, which is a sentence that exists in 2025. They are phenomenal. I want to do this really quick. Maybe one of the biggest hot seat reversions or escapes I've ever seen in my time as a professional is Tony Elliott.
Invest in the team instead of the buyout. This is a good example of that, right? Godfrey invested in the team. They did that.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's a theme on some of these teams. Real fast, I want to do we can create a new segment real fast called, instead of mea culpa, media culpa. I have
that's brilliant.
Slammed Cincinnati for hiring Scott Satterfield.
Look at them.
Beat the brakes for 3 quarters off Iowa State. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. And hung on. And Brendan Sorsby is a hell of a quarterback.
Had a chance to beat Nebraska earlier in the year. This is a good team.
Yes.
As we add to our
Nebraska
list of dogs, Brendan Sorsby's on it. Blake Horvath from Navy's on it.
Yeah, that was a good win too. South Florida, they have a huge game. We'll talk about it later this week going in.
North Texas, Friday night.
Florida's win. The first thing I thought of, because I have a G5 brain, was, man, Florida's win really helped South Florida's campaign. And in the fight in Dan Mullins, I don't know if you guys saw this on social, that was not snow.
No,
it was
hail, right?
Stadium.
Yeah, hail.
That was an entire layer.
That's crazy.
Of unexpected, as these things are wont to do in that part of Wyoming, hail that looked like snow, that UNLV came in, the team from the literal desert, and played better special teams, blocked a punt for a touchdown. They're 5-0. They won 31-17. And then the other one, that's it. I really do have to spend some time.
I'm sorry. I was going to say Dabo and Clemson cleared out North Carolina Stadium.
Is that the emptiest you've ever seen a stadium at the end of a game?
That quickly. Well, that quickly. In the middle of the second quarter, it was crazy.
I watched the whole game because I get to write a column this week for the Washington Post explaining to a non-college football crowd why Belichick is one of the greatest financial missteps in history, and I can't wait.
You can't fire him. It's $20 million to fire him.
No, you can't fire him.
You're right.
I was on a plane yesterday sitting next to a North Carolina alumnus during the game, and we were watching it like the Delta screens. And we got to talking about this, and he said, as a UNC alumnus, and I think a booster, he just said, we have been absolutely hoodwinked. Like, we have absolutely been sold a bill of goods.
I think they thought they had the old Charlie Weiss, we're going to have a decided schematic advantage. We don't need better players. No, you do. And you need to learn how to evaluate. So my friends Bruce Feldman and Ralph Russo in The Athletic had a quote from a Group of 5 coach who said that they were they found themselves in the offseason getting beat by North Carolina a lot in the portal. And the Group of 5 coach goes, do they not know they're in the ACC? If they're beating us for players, they're going to stink. And this is the least talented team in the Power 5.
Andy, this is one of the things I'll tease and I'm writing about. It's actually, everyone wants to comp it to the Charlie Weiss quote about decided schematic advantage, and I am as well. But it wasn't about the scheme. It was about Mike Lombardi and some of the more boisterous things that were said in the offseason about personnel evaluation, which, to your point, is so laughable now.
Yeah, they think they came in thinking they were so much smarter than everybody else. And everybody else in college football, and the thing is, Dabo's nice and Dabo's respectful, and Dabo's the one guy who will not show up Bill Belichick. Everybody else on that schedule will try to embarrass them.
Yeah. They called the dogs off as much as they could, and think about how bad Clemson needed to get right on that.
Clemson could have scored 100 yesterday if they wanted to.
Think about how bad Clemson needed just a ridiculous blowout for everything that's gone on with them. Yeah, no, so everybody else, you think Jake Dickert's not going to pour it on if he can? He should.
You got to recruit against these guys.
He should. Shout out to that. They got their first ACC win yesterday. I'm smoking a cigar on social media.
All right, gentlemen. We will reconvene this on Tuesday. There will be a lot to talk about. Steve Sarkisian will have met with the media on Monday. I am fascinated to hear what he says, because that game in Dallas is going to be something else. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Everybody else, see you on Tuesday.